So let's take a look at a calculation here. So I'm going to run you through a calculation and see, we're going to see maybe there's might be something wrong with this. We're going to see where we can figure out where the error is. So I'm going to run through this calculation. So x squared minus 1 equals 0. Okay, so that means that if x equals 1, x squared minus 1 equals 0. Correct, no problem. All good. Okay, so here we have x squared minus 1 factors into x minus 1 times x plus 1. That's a difference of squares. It factors the difference of squares. Okay, and we end up with that equal to 0. Okay, so this has to be true. These two expressions are equivalent. Okay, so this expression and this expression are equivalent, so they must equal 0. All good. Okay, so we're going to take this expression, this line here. In the next line, what we're going to do is divide both sides by x minus 1. Okay, if I divide the left side by x minus 1, if I divide the right side by x minus 1, we keep the equation balanced. So it should be nothing wrong with this. Okay, and so when we cancel out these factors, okay, x minus 1 divided by x minus 1, they cancel out. 0 divided by anything is 0, so on the left-hand side we have x plus 1, on the right-hand side we have 0. And when we plug x equals 1 back in, because remember x equals 1 back here, and x doesn't change, nothing changed in this whole equation. X equals 1, it's a balance, so the x has to stay the same. When I plug x back into this equation, I get 1 plus 1 on the left-hand side, that's equal to 2, and we get 2 is equal to 0. Now, I don't think I should be able to convince you that 2 is equal to 0. In fact, I hope you do not believe that 2 is equal to 0, but something happened here. Okay, and all our math looked pretty consistent. So what went wrong? Something's definitely wrong. We know that 2 does not equal 0. Something went wrong here. So we can take a little bit closer look here. So we know that if I plug 1 into here, I get 0 times 2 equals 0. That's okay. Here I get 0 times 2 is 0 divided by 0. I'm dividing 0 divided by 0, and here I get 0 divided by, this should be 0. Technically that should work, but we should be very wary of this, because at some point in math, you have been told you can't divide by 0. Okay, and in this case here, we ended up dividing by 0. So this is divide by 0. This is also divide by 0. And when we divided by 0, something weird happened, right? Something strange happened there. So, well, why is it that we can't divide by 0? Well, this is one of the reasons. We get these really weird results if we start dividing by 0. And dividing by 0 actually just doesn't make sense, because if I divide by 0, how much do I have? How many zeros fit into 0? Well, we don't know. Does 0 zeros fit into there? Does 1 fit into there? Does 100 zeros fit into 0? That there's no sense we can make of dividing by 0 quantities. So what's wrong with this calculation? Well, we are dividing by 0. Okay, that we can't do. Okay, this is a problem. We cannot divide by 0. Okay, so, well, we've been kind of told that, and there's some reasons we should believe that we shouldn't divide by 0, but we want to have a sense of what's going on. We want to just start having a better sense of what's going on. We want to start see these things. We want to be able to kind of visualize what's going on and have something to be able to kind of think about, to look at, to kind of latch this information onto, just instead of just some rule, don't divide by 0. And it allows us to make connections. And graphing is one of the main ways in how we see math. So what we're going to do then is we're going to look at restrictions, dividing by 0, and we're going to see what happens when we divide by 0. What does it look like when we divide by 0? Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at these graphs. Okay, so I want you to pause this video and I want you to graph this expression on your graphing tool on Desmos and take a look at what's happening at the restriction. Again, the restriction in this case is going to be when x is equal to +4. So we want to see what is happening at the value of x equals +4. Okay, and we want to kind of think, well, there's something going on there, and we want to tag that kind of idea to this idea of dividing by 0. Okay, so go ahead and graph that and take a look at that graph. And we'll kill two birds with one stone. We'll look at this one as well. Okay, so I want you to graph x plus 5 over x times x minus 2. Make sure you put that all in brackets when you put that into your graphing tool. And you're going to divide by all of this, so it's a good idea to put that all in the denominator in brackets. Okay, so make sure that you have your times and divides all in the right spot. And we're going to have restrictions here. X cannot equal to 3, x cannot equal to -1. And again, what's happening to the graph at these points? And this allows us to start analyzing these divide by 0 situations.